Hi, my name is Mr. Alberto, and this is my any percent sales skip tutorial. So, some things you want to know before you start the game is that the any percent sales skip route is actually not the fastest any percent route known right now. However, it is the most consistent route in terms of times you can get and how fast you can get them. So, if you're looking to get sub 1, this is probably the route I would recommend to learn if you had just learned MSS. So I would not recommend doing layer manip because it is slower by, we think, like 4 minutes now. So this is actually slower than bomb skip by about 3 minutes. However, bomb skip is much less beginner friendly than this route. So two things you want to know is that you don't want to start in hero mode for this route unless you like dying in Dragon Roost Cavern, because in Dragon Roost Cavern you might get hit by enemies and you get double damage and you don't get heart refill. So most people recommend don't start in hero mode. I recommend don't start in hero mode. You could see Ian didn't start in hero mode. It saves about maybe 1 to 2 seconds if you do start in hero mode, so that's just up to you. The other thing is that the fastest version of this game is in Italian, because every single version of the text had been sped up, every language except for Japanese for some reason. Japanese is extremely slow, so don't play in Japanese. But even English isn't that bad. But if you have a North American Wii U, you can't get Italian. You have to have a European Wii U. So the best option is to start in Spanish, which is about 6 seconds slower than Italian because it speeds up the text the most. So Italian is the fastest text. So we make a new file. Doesn't matter how long the file name is, and you start the game. So the first thing you want to do is you want to actually hit the plus button, the start button, to skip this cutscene. So we start on Outset Island, and at the very start, we are going to be performing a trick called the manual super swim. So after this cutscene, we're going to side hop off the dock, which is faster than just jumping off. We're going to side hop into the water, and we're going to have to pause 200 times, at least, frame perfectly. It might be a little less, but the idea is that the upcharge that we're trying to perform is at around 600 speed. So basically, the reason we have to pause is that there's this mechanic in the water where if you turn around about 180 degrees, Link will turn around in one frame rather than doing a slow turnaround. And the other thing that will happen is that he will gain -3 units of speed, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's actually not a lot. But if you keep turning around every single frame and you chain them together, you actually continually build -3 units of speed. And we have to get to about -600 before we can do the next trick to gain the remaining about -900 speed to -1500, which allows us to go all the way across the ocean and go to Dragon Roost Island, which skips the intro Outset Island cutscenes. It skips the leaving Outset, makes Forsaken Fortress faster. You don't have to buy the cell, you don't have to free Tingle, and you don't have to sail a Dragon Roost. That's way faster. So as you see, we side hop into the water, and I'm gonna pause here. So we're gonna start turning around every single frame, and so this is the hardest trick in the route, hands down. This is the main reason why people don't want to run any percent, but I assure you, if you are doing it the wrong way, it's going to be way worse than if you're doing it the right way. So as you notice, Ian's going to start pausing. And so he's actually pausing pretty quickly, and there are multiple ways to do this trick, but it's really like a rhythm. I would not take it one pause at a time, and what you're doing is every pause you're turning around. But you also have to make sure your inputs are pretty correct. So you want to make sure that your pause button, you're hitting a certain rhythm so that you're pausing and unpausing frame perfectly. What I mean by this is that after you unpause the game, you have to pause at a certain time so that only one frame of gameplay has gone by. If you are too early on this repause, then what will happen is the game will eat your pause input, and then the game will stay on pause until you press the start button again. So let's see if we could see some of those. Ian does a lot of them. It's called an early pause. Okay, so he did one right there. I don't know if you kind of saw it, but there was kind of delay between him pausing the game again, so like right there. And it's really hard to see. The reason Ian can get away with it is because he uses a method where he double taps the start button, and he does it pretty quickly. And so whenever the game doesn't read the first start input, it just automatically hits the second start input, and he doesn't have to react. So that makes it so his game stays unpaused for a very short amount of time whenever he misses a pause. There's also, you can hit late. If you hit the pause button late, you see on the bottom right corner, you can see the rupee counter. And when you saw it just flickered right then. When it flickers and it doesn't say dimmed, that's a 2-frame. And you don't gain any speed from 2-frame pauses. You gain -3 units of speed for every perfect one, where the rupee counter stays dimmed. So you see it staying dimmed, it's staying dimmed, staying dimmed, and it flickered right there. So he gained -3 units of speed for every single pause whenever the rupee counter stayed dimmed. And so that's how you can tell if you have frame perfect pauses. The other way you can tell is that Link will actually move farther in the water on every single pause if it's a 2-frame than if it's a 1-frame. So that's another way you can tell. So there's multiple ways to get the rhythm correctly. Another way is called instapausa. So there's actually 3 known ways that people use, and people mix it up. There's slow pausa, there's fast pausa, and there's instapausa. So slow pausa, you are actually spending the equal amount of frames in the pause menu as in the unpause, and that's about 7 frames each. That's way slower than what Ian's doing. You see how fast he's pausing? That's because he's double tapping. While for slow pausa, you're actually doing a constant rhythm. And fast pausa saves about 30 seconds optimally over slow pausa. So fast pausa is one of the main reasons why Ian can churn out these ridiculous 4-minute, 30-second times. So that's the best you can probably get with fast pausa. With slow, sub 5 is barely possible, but it's been done. And then instapausa is where you unpause with B, and you're pressing start in B, and you're doing it as fast as you can to the point that if you press B too early, the game will fail to unpause because you have to be in the pause menu for at least 3 frames. If you're not, or I think it's 3, yeah. If you hit B like less than 3 frames after start, it won't even work. Also, the game always unpaused for 7 frames. Fun fact. So another very important thing I want to note, it only works for fast and slow pausing. You want to make sure you're changing analog stick directions during the unpause. And the reason I say this is that if you learn this early, what you'll notice is that on every early pause, let's see if we can see an early pause here. You might get one. That was an early pause. So what we saw is that Link moved down, but he didn't change directions. So if you see that Link is changing directions during your early pauses, that means that you are actually losing a random amount of speed, which is really bad, because whenever you're in the unpause, you can lose speed by just not changing directions. You'll lose 3 units of speed per frame. But the other thing that can happen is if you change directions, you can hit neutral on the analog stick. And when you exit the neutral direction, Link will actually lose a random amount of speed depending on his swimming animation and depending on how much speed he already has. It's about a fraction of his speed. That fraction depends on his swimming animation. So he can lose an absurd amount of speed at random if you just change directions. So if you are changing analog stick directions in the pause menu, what happens is, since the game is unpaused, whatever would happen in the pause menu actually happens while the game's unpaused. And if you had changed directions, Link will change directions, and you can hit neutral and lose all your speed. But and this is what Ian does, if you change analog stick directions while the game is unpaused, so if you're galloping, it's actually between gallops. So it's did it up, did it down, did it up, did it down. So that's kind of what it would be like. And you kind of have to figure out what the audio cue is for when to change analog stick directions. But it's not that bad if you learn it right when you're starting to learn MSS. You'll lose way less speed, and a lot of your runs will be saved by this. So this is probably my biggest piece of advice. The other piece of advice is make sure you use pointer or middle finger for hitting the pause button, because a lot of people have known to have hand problems if they use their thumb. So we're building speed, and the in about 30 seconds, we'll do something called an upcharge. So again, you're going up, down, up, down. It's about 200 pauses. And the fastest known upcharge time is probably like 2 minutes and 55 seconds. No one's ever gone it faster than that. But you can kind of you have to tell how much speed you have. So right there, Ian had enough speed. It's really hard to tell when you are getting frame perfect pauses, but he's done enough that he can tell that this is enough speed. But another thing that you could note is that if Link starts going off screen on the bottom, that's also enough speed. But that you can only tell that if you get 2 framers. So what he's going to do is that he's going to get an air refill, and then he's going to go away from the shore. So the reason he gets an air refill is because that's going to help the upcharge work better. So the problem is you do lose speed because you have to hold ESS, which is very slightly on the analog stick. You have to hold down to go towards the shore and up to go away. ESS slows down how quickly you lose speed, but you will lose some speed depending on how good your ESS is. So really bad ESS, you would lose probably 30 units of speed just doing that what he did just then. It's a lot. But if you have really good ESS, you could lose like 5 units of speed at minimum, which is really hard to do. So anyway, he goes away from the shore, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do a frame perfect pause, and you're going to hold up and target. There's another way to do this, but this is the best way we know how to do an upcharge. It allows you to get the lowest speed upcharge. There's no other way to do it, but I'm not going to explain it in this video. That does not require frame perfect pause. So he's going to hold up and target for 1 frame. So like that, he got it. And then he got a frame perfect pause here, which made Link stay off the screen. So Link stayed off the screen, and he now is ready to do the upcharge. If you don't get a frame perfect pause, there's 2 things you can do. You can just hold down for 1 frame, and then you'll be ready to do the upcharge. It won't work as well. The other thing you can do is you can go back into free cam, then try up and target again for 1 frame. So now he's ready. Now he does an upcharge. So okay, he got a pretty good upcharge right here, and you see what he's trying to do is he's trying to get Link to turn around. He's actually gaining a ton of speed very quickly right now. This only works at around 600 speed, negative 600. It could work as low as like negative 500, but it requires a better up angle. So the lower speed you try to do an upcharge, the better up angle it requires. And so he now is upcharging. All he's doing is holding up on the analog stick, but it's a very precise angle. But there's a visual cue for it, luckily, because what happens is now, okay, so Link is going, see how he's facing down left, and he's going to the right of the screen? This means Ian is now holding too far left and up. So now he has to go more right and up. And so he got it. Now he's about perfect up right now. And when he's perfect up, see how the background is kind of staying steady? That means that he's got a really good up angle. And so at around negative 1,200 speed, I think, around there, Link will start spinning around frantically like this. See how he's not going off screen on every pause? That's because his swimming animation makes it so that for some reason at negative 1,200 speed, it's always at that speed, he will start frantically spinning around, and sometimes you don't even get out of it. But what we think is a way to get out of this spinning, which doesn't make you gain speed, by the way. The way to get out of it and gain speed as well, to start gaining speed again, is to just hold a really good up angle before he's turning around. So as you can see, he held a really good up angle, and so Link is about to start spinning around, but he immediately gets out of it because of his up angle. Okay, so he's going away from the shore. So look, he kind of got out of it pretty easily. He's really close to the shore right now. Okay, so he's gotten out of it. And then Link is going to start, calming down again. And then right when he calms down, he already has enough speed now, but he's got a really bad angle. So he's got to get a better angle. And what you have to do... Oh, he already got an air refill. Okay, so what you would normally do is you would get an air refill, but he got really lucky because the shore gave him an air refill, but that's enough speed to go to Dragon Roost. And so what you want to do is you want to go to... I'll have to show it. That spot right there by the rock, that's where you want to get the air refill. And so what I like to do is I just hold down and I start changing my down angle. You don't have to hold ESS to get the to get the air refill, because the amount of speed you have makes it so that you're really not going to lose that much speed by holding all the way down. It is more than ESS, but it's easier to steer without ESS. So it's really an insignificant amount of speed you're losing. And then you go to Dragon Roost. And Dragon Roost is northeast of Outset Island. So this is actually enough speed to make it there in one air, in just one air gauge. So that's why this works. You need a lot of speed because you can't really air refill at other islands by just swimming normally, and it's slower anyway than just swimming normally across the ocean. It would take longer than probably just doing all the sequences normally. So he has made it to Dragon Roost Island, and this is, like I said, northeast of Outset Island. So right when you hit Dragon Roost Island, it's about 54 seconds until the Wind Waker split. And you can see the King of Lions is absent because we've never met him, and we're going to get the Wind Waker. So that was the manual super swim. The best time known right now is a 4:28. That's the best time we've ever seen from a Wind Waker. So we're going to get the Wind Waker by the King of Lions. You play the songs, and then there you go. You got the Wind Waker. And this skipped about 20 minutes in the bomb skip route, but about 19 minutes in this route. So we're going to climb up here. We're going to side hop onto the rock while holding target, and then we're just, target to side hop. And then we're going to climb up here, and then we're going to turn the camera, and then we're going to jump to that platform right there by barely rolling past the rock. It can be kind of precise. This is known as rock skip. So he rolls across, and now we pass the rock. And now we roll to this area, and we talk to all these birds, and it's a very boring sequence, honestly, because it's just a bunch of mashing text boxes. For mashing this game, you want to mash A and B. That's just like the best thing I could say is for mashing, just alternate between A and B. And that way, sometimes you have text where it goes faster if you hit B, so it's better to just mash both. So we're going to get the delivery bag. I'm just going to speed right through this. We're going to go up here and we're going to go talk to Medley. And Medley is going to tell us to go talk to the brother. This is actually quick text right here. So this is why you want to hit B and A, because it saves a ton of time if you hit B and A rather than just A. So that's what you could also hold B and mash A. It's not a huge difference. Okay, so you want to drop down here, and then you want to equip you want to open the delivery bag and equip the letter while rolling, which is really hard to do, but you can get good at it. Then you can actually roll in this room, going to, I forgot his name, and going back. And so we deliver the letter, and he reads it, and he keeps his ball. We don't even want his ball anyway. And then, okay, so right here, this is a place you can bonk if you don't do it correctly. You want to roll kind of to the right. So you see as you roll kind of right up those stairs, that allows you to not bonk. And so now we go to Dragon Roost Cavern, and we're going to get the bottle. So one thing to note is that the wind cycle, the wind in this room changes directions, but it's on a timer, and it's always the same cycle. So mashing through this text is harder on the slower the language is. So it's between English, Spanish, and Italian, it's really easy on Italian to the point that if you mash well enough, you have to wait for the wind to change directions. So it actually, this room, as long as you make the cycle, it doesn't change the amount of time it takes for each language. It's just harder the slower the language. And it's still possible in English, but you have to be very good with your mashing. Spanish, as soon as you make it up here, you throw her. But look, he has to wait because it's Italian. So then she gives you the bottle, and that's the bottle. No one's ever gotten a sub 9 bottle, but sub 9 is probably the best bottle time ever possible. So then we equip the bottle, we get some water from the spring right here, and then we're going to go climb up on the rock and then use the rock to jump onto the ladder to go back up, which is a little faster than just climbing without jumping off the rock. So then we're going to come over here, and we're going to go to water this bomb flower. And then you throw it pretty early. The bomb gets stuck if you throw it really, really early. So you don't really have to time the bomb throw. You don't have to wait for it to explode and then throw it. The faster you throw a bomb, the faster it goes off. So that's why you want to throw it pretty early so it saves time. So we're going to go around here. We're going to roll. And we're going to jump in the water and swim across. And then there's a trick here that you can do. It's called bomb boost. And so right here when you're playing basketball with the bombs, you can just jump at the perfect time when the bomb goes off to boost you over. But instead, Ian just goes for throwing the bomb, which is only about 1 second slower. And then, okay, up these stairs right here, if you roll kind of to the right, you don't really bonk on those stairs. Those stairs are pretty notorious for bonking. So we enter Dragon Roost Cavern, and the one thing you want to know is that these first couple of rooms that you go through, there's the timer for a lava cycle, and if you have perfect movement, you will save about 5 seconds. Anything less than perfect movement, you lose 5 seconds. So that's why you want to go really fast in these first couple of rooms to make the lava cycle. I don't think he makes it in this run. So we move the statues. And so you pull the first statue out, you pull the other one out just a little, and you pick up the pot, and then you start side hopping, which is faster than just walking with the pot. You want to throw it at these bokoblins. This can be kind of tricky because sometimes they can dodge the pot throw, which is completely RNG whether they try to dodge it. So what I like to do is I like to throw the pot at a certain time that maximizes my chances of hitting them, which is you aim it right for their head. Ian throws it kind of early, but I would throw it a little bit later. That was perfect RNG there. The stick can land whenever it wants to. You jump up here, and then you light the first torch, and then you turn and throw it at the other torch, and you try to roll to get closer to the chest. Those are just small movement optimizations, but it's necessary for making the lava cycle, which is very hard to do, but it does save quite a bit of time. So now we roll off here, go open the door, and then we're going to pick up the rock, side hop, and then throw it. One thing we have to note is that we're going to need rupees because this route does FCP Island Hop, and that costs 10 rupees. You can skip it paying, but it does waste about 2 seconds, and it's harder to do. So just get rupees. So he's going to get this rupee here. That's not obligatory, but it's not mandatory, but he's going to get it. You skip getting the 5 rupees there. I would recommend skipping all rupees you can in these first couple of rooms. So you're going to pull out you're going to do this movement right here. Jump across. Pretty simple. One thing to note is that you can note all the faster movements. Like if you roll at the perfect time here, you can roll while the rock is exploding. So that saves time. Right here, as you enter the room, you're going to put the camera in this position behind Link, and then you're going to throw the pot, and that skips the cutscene of the water pot going off and forming a platform. So you go up here, you wait for the Chew to jump when you're at this rung right here. So his left arm is up on the third rung of ladder from the second from the top, and then you keep going, or else he'll just push you off. This room right here, you want to get the pot and throw it at the bokoblin, but sometimes he can just hit you for no reason, and there's nothing you can do. You throw the sword at this wall, throw it again, roll up here. You can roll twice this chest. Yeah, like that. If you roll the wrong way, you can pick up the sword. So you want to make sure to not press A while you're over the sword. It'll also just pick it up and feel stupid. So you enter this room. You can do a roll to this pot. There's 2 types of rolls in this game. There's a faster roll, and then there's a shorter roll. If you roll within the first frames of starting a run, you'll do a shorter roll. And you can see Ian did it right there. If he did a longer roll, he could have rolled past the pot. So that's why I recommend rolling right after you hold up left. And he actually hit target to move the camera. So that's like a short thing. And we're going to use the pot to blow up the bomb. And we roll on the right when it explodes. Side hop up here. And then he skips that rupee because he's trying to make the lava cycle. But you can get 5 rupees there. You get this rock, and you can actually side hop all the way to that wooden fence. You go near it, and then you make the bokoblin jump, and you throw the rock at him. This can be kind of tricky, so it takes a lot of practice. You take the torch, you light you take the stick, light the torch, and you throw it at the wall. You can do a side hop right here, but he failed it. It's kind of precise. You can do it. It saves probably like not that much time. And you can side hop to the switch, but he didn't make it. So you go outside here, and this is where the lava cycle was going on. So that lava cycle that on the ladder, that's on a timer, and he might make it. No, I don't think he makes it. So you can actually make that cycle if you had perfect movement. Also, the Bokoblin down here, you got to go past him, but he could hit you. He missed Ian, but it's just RNG whether it hits you. And it's really stupid because you'll lose a ton of time if he keeps hitting you. But unfortunately, RNG is part of the speedrun. So we go up here, and then we just jump across this sidling point right here. And then we go around this rock. And then here, you climb up and you do a frame-perfect roll. So right when he rolls up, right when he climbs up, he's going to hit A. And he right at the perfect frame to jump across. And he did it. And then you're going to do another small optimization to, instead of just climbing up on this next rock, we're just going to roll off, which skips having to jump up. So a little optimization. Throw the bomb, jump down as the bomb is exploding. You want to throw it as early as possible to make it go off as soon as possible. Enter the room. Here you're just going to turn and side hop twice to go up these rather than just climbing. Pull out the block, pull out the next block after climbing up. Then you can kind of go off the right. Saves like not that much time. It saves you time from just climbing up like in that other room. Gonna get the gossip stone, talk to someone that we've never met before. And then again on this block you can roll off the side, which prevents you from having to climb up. You throw the torches, the sticks at the torches, and then throw it at the... This is all self-explanatory. We're gonna go up and get the key. Also, the rats can hit you in this room. They can actually give you more rupees if they hit you. Some fun fact. So we're gonna go up here. You don't roll up these steps right here because you'll bonk if you roll. Go around the bird, get the key. So right here, you can get 5 rupees. And he's going to get the 5 rupees, I believe. This is the last place you can get 5 rupees, a blue rupee in the round. So here, he's going to go roll the pot, the little pot, and throw it at the big pot, which saves a small amount of time. And then get the torch. And then light the other torches. Throw it in side hop. Lots of small optimizations. Here, you can hold target while you roll, which helps you just run straight. So it just helps, but it's not mandatory. This room is a lot of RNG too. You want to pick up the stool, throw it at the Bokoblin, so he drops his sword, which we're going to use to kill them, which is really interesting, because in this game you can actually use enemy swords against them. And that's the only reason why Solaris Dragon Root's Cavern even works. So you bunch them all up and try to get double and triple hits on them. And then you could spin attack, which is as their final hit, which is faster than just a normal attack by like a little bit. So this next room, there's 2 ways to do it. You have to pick up this pot and go past the magtail, and you have to throw it onto the lava pillar. But if you throw it at the perfect time to the left, you can actually jump directly to the left, and it saves like a little bit of time. Ian, he climbed up, which didn't save any time. If you get there without having to climb, you have actually saved like 2 seconds. Here, you throw the bomb at the rock, and then you just roll, right when it goes off, and you can roll all the way to the door. Then, in this room, this is the room with Dragon that we never save. Right here, the reason he runs here is because sometimes you can bonk, and sometimes you don't. So just to avoid bonking, he just doesn't roll there. So then you enter the fight. And again, you pick up the pots and you throw it at the Bokoblins to get their weapon because we don't have a sword. Get double hits if you can. This is also RNG, whether they're spaced out or whether they just decide to hit you. So again, if you were on hero mode, you wouldn't get hearts, and there's a very high chance of dying in hero mode if you don't know what you're doing. Because the enemies are RNG. Here, if you move close to the Moblin, you can double hit him with the sword, just like that. So you have to move in right before he starts to block you and hit him, and you can get 2 double hits. He takes 5 hits to kill. You can also throw the sword at him, which is amusing to me. So we're going to talk to Medley, and that was the whole purpose of doing all of that we just did. The whole sequence was just to get this piece of string with a paperclip on it, also known as the grappling hook, because the grappling hook is the most broken item in this speedrun, hands down, because it allows you to go into first person and move around, which allows you to item slide. So, the way you item slide in this game is you hold forward, and then, you hold a direction, and you hold the opposite direction, ESS, on the next frame, which is a lot easier if you pause buffer it. So he's going to equip the grappling hook, You could turn off gyro right here if you don't want gyro on. This is probably one of the best times to turn off gyro. If you like gyro, keep it on. Gyro allows you to aim faster. So you're going to save quit. We're going to go out to island. So the reason we're going to out to island and not at Dragon Roost is because you end up on out to island because you haven't fixed save flags. So there's two kind of tiers of save flags we'll know in this game. Basically, if you trigger a certain event in the game, it'll change where you respawn if you die or save quit the game. So until you trigger any of these, the default is outside island. So no matter where you save quit or die in the game, like if you die in Dragon Roost Cavern, you would end up at outside island. That's why it's so bad if you die in Dragon Roost Cavern. But anywhere else you end up in outside island, which actually helps the speedrun. And then there's two other save flags that we know of in this route. There's other save flags, but I'm not going to go over them. If you watch the beating Forsaken Fortress 1 cutscene, which we're about to do, you always spawn at Windfall Island. And then if you enter the boat and have control, you will then hit the highest tier, and you'll always spawn at the beginning of the dungeon or on the nearest island. So that's why we spawn on outside island. He turned on hero mode, if you noticed, because we're going to need hero mode in this route eventually to do a cutscene skip. So now we're gonna start item sliding. So what he's doing is he's holding forward, he's unpausing, and he's holding back ESS. ESS is very slightly on the analog stick, and it's gonna make you go very, very fast, exponentially. So you go here, you go to this area, and we're gonna swim off the island. The way to do it, a way to swim off an island is you have to build an amount of speed with a item slide, and you have to slowly go into the water. So right here, he probably went into the water a little too quickly, because he's going to have to go behind the island. But optimally, what you do to get off outside island is you're going to go into the water, and then you're going to turn the camera around and just hold down. You could hold down ESS, but I like holding down when I super swim because there's no chance of hitting neutral, which kills a lot of your speed. And you lose 3 speed per frame for hitting down rather than ESS. I only hit ESS if I have a very low speed, and it helps me move Link a lot better. So, way you could turn around the camera really easily here that Ian doesn't do, he also goes behind the island as a backup, is right when you go down here, you can hold target, then hit any direction. I think it's down on the C-stick is a good direction to hit, and then you let go of target. And then the camera will always be right behind Link, and then you just hold down, and then he'll go under the bridge. But Ian did a backup. We have to go to the right of Greatfish. So you have to go towards the Islet of Steel, which is kind of that island on the right there. And that island on the left is Greatfish. You do not want to go into Greatfish because your run is dead because you lose a lot of time. You have to home quit if you go to Greatfish and then start again. So don't do that. Just go to the right of Greatfish, and then you're going to keep going, and then you're going to go to the left of this fairy island. I don't remember what the name of it is. That's where the submarine is. And you want to slow down your super swim. That was a good speed that Ian had. There's 2 ways to slow down. The same idea is that you're hitting neutral. Neutral drops your speed exponentially, which is really, really good. So the more times you go between neutral and any direction on the analog stick, you're losing a ridiculous amount of speed. So you can either hit down over and over again, down ESS to lose speed, or you can just flick between up and down so you don't move while you do it. But he's kind of doing both, and you want to go into the submarine, pull out Windmaker, or you can roll, and then just go in. Or you can bonk like he did by accident. Then you want to turn Link and then side hop, and then get caught by the moblins. One thing to note is that you need 9 rupees by this point. We collected at least 9 rupees in Dragon Roost Cavern, so you want to watch out for that. There's backups, though. So he has 9. That's a perfect amount of rupees for FCPL and up. When you enter this jail cell, one thing we learned recently is you could save about a second if you just hold left on the analog stick while Link is getting up. He has a faster get up animation. So that'll save a bit of time. If you go to the right of the pot, you have to crawl in. You don't even pick up the pot to throw it or break it or anything. You do if you're low on rupees. This will give you a green, and then you go to the right of the crawl space because it's faster than going to the left of the crawl space. So that was pretty fast. It would be about a second slower. So you crawl out here. Another small optimization that I don't think Ian does is you can pull grappling hook while in the air, which makes the item already in your hand. So right here you could pull grappling hook, and that would save a very small amount of time. But if you pull it in the air, you just press the grappling hook button, he'll already have it in his hand, and you'll pull it out faster for the item slide. So this item slide right here, you're going to aim between the two lines right here. So exactly where his dot is aimed right there, that's the right place to aim the dot before you just item slide. So all you do is you charge an item slide forwards, get a good amount of speed, and then you just hit target. Another thing you can do is you can pull bottle or windmaker in the air, and that prevents you from going back into the grappling hook when you hit the ground, which saves a very small amount of time. Go through the left door, and then this is a trick we call early light cycle. We're actually going to skip a light cycle by doing a bunch of item sliding. We're going to clip to the ground here. Clip happens at a certain amount of speed and angle, and also depends on where Link is facing. So clips are pretty specific, but some of them are easier than others. This one's very easy to do. So when you go out here, you're going to item slide, and it's actually going to clip you to the ground all the way across Forsaken Fortress, like that. We're going to end up all the way over here. There's another way you can do this. I'll explain it later. So we're going to item slide back, and we're going to go right here to trigger the Gossip Stone, which is very important because the Gossip Stone allows us to get bombs. This puts bombs in the pirate ship. If we didn't do this, there's actually two things that would go wrong. One, the sword wouldn't spawn because the sword is close to the Gossip Stone trigger. The other thing is you would have the spoils bag in the pirate ship, which is really bad because we don't want spoils back. You can actually go right at the top of these stairs from that item side clip if you angle up left on your analog stick, but it actually randomly makes you go on the stairs up top, and you can get caught by the lights because it depends on the speed you clip at. It changes how high you clip, so you can clip too high. So you go up these stairs, and then we're going to do another item slide. There's a lot of item slide optimizations rather than just rolling. So we're going to aim kind of to the left. We're aim kind of to the top left of these stairs. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to do a pretty tricky item slide. It's actually pretty simple, but a very complicated movement. We're going to go all the way up the stairs, and then we're going to hit target right before we hit the top after converting positive. So that was a big sequence. So what we did was we aimed the grappling hook dot to the up and to the left. Up as in up the stairs, so forward and more to the left. And we do up and then pause and then down ESS. And then after he starts gaining speed, you kind of just move the analog stick from down to, if you want Link to go to the left, you hold right. If you want Link to go down, you hold up. So he's going to hold right, then he's going to hold up, and then right, and then down, and then after holding down, he's going to hit up, and then target. And if you hit target early enough, you can actually get stuck on these top stairs if you hit target too late. So that's why you got to hit early enough to get stopped by this wall right here, and then he's going to go straight to the slope, and then just hit up, because this is positive speed. When you item slide, it's with negative speed until you convert to positive. It's always negative by default. He's going to go around here, and then he's going to go to the ladder. And that whole sequence right there saved a big chunk of time over just rolling. That saved a good 10 seconds. There's another way to do this movement up FF1. It's called ladder skip. And it's one of the worst tricks you'll ever learn of at any percent, and it saves 7 seconds if you're perfect. Instead of going to this ladder, so you can go to this corner on the left, and you can actually go to that ledge. So when we go to Forsaken Fortress 2, we actually do this jump right here. So you go up here, but you go to the corner, and you can do that jump here. The reason we can't do this right now is because we don't have a sword, and the sword allows us to jump and go perfectly in the direction we aim the grappling hook if we hit target and then hit B. But we don't have a sword. For ladder skip, the way we move around Forsaken Fortress 1 is way different than if you climb the ladders. So what you do for ladder skip is you go into this corner right here, and you set up the camera so that the edge of the button for the bottle is touching that wall. And you hold up while you are setting up the angle. Then you go to the right, and then you hold as straight up as you possibly can, and then you're going to go to about right here, and then you're going to pause the game, and then you're going to unpause while holding nothing on the analog stick. This only works if you hold neutral for at least a frame. And then you're going to pause again, and you're going to hit the most perfect down angle you can possibly hit. And if you hit the correct down angle, Link will make a 180-degree turn, and he will go across Forsaken Fortress. And he will grab this ledge right here. It depends on your down angle which direction he moves in. And if you are too far to the left or too far to the right, you will end up outside of Forsaken Fortress, and you'll have to void out and try the entire movement all over again. Once you are up here, you're going to item slide around, and you are going to go around this moblin, which is kind of weird because the moblin will change the camera, which will have to change the direction you hold on the analog stick. Once you go around here, now you can do cycle skip. Ian turns off gyro here to help with his next trick and another trick. So you turn around, aim the dot right to where he's aiming it. It's kind of lenient. When you aim it, kind of aim it right there. You can aim it a little bit more left from where he's aiming it. And then you item slide to the corner, and then you target. And that makes you fling all the way across here. And then you can roll to stop your speed. Go up this ladder. Ladders are really tough to climb, so don't, be angry if it's tough to climb a ladder. This trick right here is called cycle skip. The most tested method that has been known to work is this method where he actually item slides into the ladder, and he has to pause buffer a lot because if you item slide off the ladder, you fall all the way down. And you have to start it. You fall down the ladder and you have to climb up again. So what he does is he item slides precisely on the ladder, and he then converts his speed to positive by hitting up, and then slides off the ladder, and then that makes Link jump across. Because if you slide off of a slope while item sliding, you will move one frame with your speed, and then that's it. So whatever distance you move in one frame, that's how far you move, unless you get stopped. So what happens is you actually get stopped by the bottom of this thing, and then you jump up. He gets stopped, and then he jumps over, and then he lands here. There's actually 3 cycle skip methods known. This is an alternate method for cycle skip that does not involve item sliding up against the ladder. So what we're going to do is, instead of item sliding towards the ladder, you're going to item slide backwards, and then while you're item sliding, you're going to hold down on the analog stick, and this converts your speed to positive. Then you're going to press and hold target while holding down. Now Link will be facing forwards, but his momentum for the item slide will actually be backwards with positive speed, which is very important. Then you're going to change your down angle so that it's kind of to the right, so that Link is barely in the scooting animation rather than running backwards. And then once you've gotten this angle, you're going to pause the game, and then you're going to release everything and unpause, and then pause again, then hold up, and then unpause. And if you did everything right, Link will jump across the cycle gap. There's one other way you can do cycle skip, but it's slower unless you are doing ladder skip. So what you do is you go into this corner right here, and you aim the camera just like this. And then what you do is you item slide until you hit a certain visual cue right here. And when the dot reaches right here, you press target. And he'll fling across the cycle gap, and he'll hit the wall. So now you go over here, you target the wall, and then a quick way to back up is you just hold target and move Link rather than moving back with the grappling hook. It's just a small optimization. And then you charge at the wall, and you hit target, which flings you to the left. And then you stop your speed, and then you go over here, and you have to grapple the Bokoblin, which skips the cutscene of the spikes raising, and also makes him not attack you, which is really nice. You go over here. By the way, that was a 10th rupee. Now we have 10 rupees, which is a perfect amount. We just need at least 10. And then he does a little small movement optimization where he side hops over the sword, which prevents the little animation of raising the sword. It's a very small time save. And then we fight the Bokoblin. The best way to do it that we know of is you do a forward slash, and then you do a normal slash without holding forward. Do a side hop, and then you do a jump slash out of the side hop, and then you do a quick spin. To do a jump slash quick spin is right after you jump slash, you spin the stick, and it'll make him quick spin. And that does a lot more damage than a normal jump slash and normal quick spin, and if you chain them together, it's a ridiculous amount of damage. Then we go in here, and FF1 is done. The very important thing about this cutscene is that this spawns the King Red Lions. And this cutscene right here, after the cutscene is over and he talks about Ganondorf and all of that, you'll end up right next to him. And so, the previous route that we used to do, layer manipulation, right now, if we hadn't bought the sale, we would have soft locked. and the King Red Lions would talk to us over and over again about, have you bought the sale? Have you bought the sale? And he'll keep asking it. The reason he says that is because if you have bombs and you don't have the sale, if you go anywhere near the King Red Lions, he will try to talk to you about the bombs, but instead of asking you, talking to you about, the text he has when you get bombs, he'll just keep talking about the sale because he never got to finish his text. So this is a soft lock, and there's no way to get out of it. That's why we don't get bombs before FF1. You theoretically could, but you would need the sale. And this route does not get the sale, which prevents you from having a free tingle, even going on. You only have to go anywhere near a Windfall. In fact, we don't even trigger the cutscene. So we're going to swim off the back instead of the front of Windfall Island. So yes, that is why we got bombs after FF1, not before. It's because it would cause a soft lock. And unfortunately, because we get bombs after completing FF1 or Forsaken Fortress 1, we have to do a very cool, and by cool I mean awful, island hop off of the flight control platform. So, but before that we do that, we have to fix save flags. So we're gonna go side hop off this island, and we're going to do a pretty tough item slide here. And the way to do the super swim is you're gonna item slide to the left, and then you're gonna slowly move him into the water, very slowly. If you move too fast, he splooshes in the water. So you gotta move slowly, and we're gonna go to Dragon's Island. This is another island that can sploosh you if you go too fast, so don't go too fast on this island. And we're going to go in Beetle. The reason we go in Beetle is because, so we're fixing save flags. What fixing save flags means is this whole sequence is just to get us in the King Red Lion. So see that boat right there? We can't get in him unless we have the sail. But a while ago we found out that you could actually void out to spawn the King Red Lions. So we don't void out on Windfall Island because if you void it out, you wouldn't be able to get back to the island without a manual super swim, or cruising, which is very slow. But Dragon's Island is a very special island where if you save quit in the water, you end up on the island. So after you end up in the boat, by voiding out, you actually end up on the island. So the reason we go in Beetle is because we want to get the King Red Lions on the island. If we did not get King Red Lions on the island, if we just void out right now, we'd end up at Windfall, which is not good. So we go in there to make it so that the last place you were was on Dragon Roost. So you go off the boat, and you see the King Red Lions, he's right there. So now he's on the island, that's good. You could also drown in the quadrant if you fail the super swim. That would also make you spawn on the island and make the King Red Lions there. So that's another option if you fail the super swim. Just don't panic if you drown in the quadrant. So now we're going to go over here, and we're going to item slide and super swim into the water off the island, and we're just going to void out. There's another way you can do this trick. So there's a lot of ways to do a lot of tricks. This one's kind of tricky and pretty risky and also RNG dependent. You can go on the barrel, and it's called Beetle Void. You go on the barrel and you do an island hop out of bounds. You have to go, see where the boat is facing? That's the direction that you'd have to island hop. So there's a lot of different directions you can go on the boat. You can go positive speed, you can do negative speed, doesn't matter. As long as you go this direction that the boat is facing when you fling the target fling, then that's the correct direction, and you void out in one frame. So you have to go out of bounds in one frame. If you go too far, the game crashes. If you go too short, Link doesn't void out and he drowns, which loses about 30 seconds. So one thing I want to know is that if you fail this item slide right here, this item slide void out, and you sploosh on probably, if you see the Fire Mountains, that's a good island you can sploosh on. It's very notorious for splooshing. His dot is facing it right now. See that island right off to the right? That's Fire Mountain. If you sploosh on it, as long as you're out of the quadrant of Dragon Roost Island, if you drown, the trick will still work. But voiding out is way faster by 30 seconds. So after you void out or you drown, you'll end up at Dragon Roost Island on the boat. You have to get out of the boat and save quit in the water. Don't worry about being next to the boat. There's no soft lock yet. There will be a soft lock after getting bombs that we have to avoid. Why do we fix save flags? There are two reasons why we fix save flags in this run, and these are very, very important reasons. The main reason we fix save flags is because after we save quit after getting bombs, right here, when we when we get bombs, I'll go back. we would have ended up right next to the boat. But instead, we end up at the docks, right here on Windfall Island. And I'll explain why we end up at Windfall Island. But if we did not fix save flags by spawning on the boat after voiding out that whole sequence, we would have just been soft locked after we save quit. And we would end up right next to the boat, right, where is it? We would end up right here, and as soon as the save file started, as soon as you started up the file, the boat would start talking to you. There's nothing you can do. So that's one reason why we did that. We make it so that we spawn at a different location whenever we save quit, which is very, very important. That was one of the reasons why we fixed save flags, to prevent that soft lock. The other reason is because later on in the run we'll do Dekuchi cutscene skip, Dekuchi, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And when we do the cutscene skip, we die, and if we died without fixing save flags, we would end up on this island, Windfall Island, which would lose a lot of time because then we'd have to swim all the way back to the island we do it. So that's a lot later in the run, so I'll explain it then. We fix save flags, we save quit in the water, and we end up on the shore of Dragon Roost Island. That's why we have to do this whole void out on Dragon Roost. That's why we'll have to enter Beetle, all of that, is because this island makes the trick work. If you're anywhere in the quadrant and you save quit in the water, you end up on the island. That's the only island that works for. Then we turn around, we item slide, and we're going to go to the flight control platform, which is about northeast of the island. So we go here, you want to go up the ramp, an item slide, and we're going to go talk to the bird. And you can skip paying rupees, it loses time if you do it. So you talk to the bird, he has quick text too, by the way, fun fact. And then we're going to start the minigame. So this minigame is pretty special. So this minigame is actually on the overworld. So after we talk to this bird, as you see, Dragon Roost is actually in the distance. That island is actually there. So this minigame, for some reason, they put it on the overworld. And so you can go to any island you want, but they didn't expect you to leave the minigame because they didn't know that you could item slide and island hop out of the minigame. That actually changes the whole ballgame. So if you actually leave the minigame, there's actually pirate ships on the overworld in the minigame. There's one that's password protected on Windfall Island, and there's one on Outset. And we have no idea why they decided to do this, but there's a lot of weird things. This is a layer, and you will lose this layer of the game, just like Layer Manip, if you drown or you save quit or you literally do anything. So you really have to be very careful once you get this layer. This is also a very, very precise item slide. So you need about 80 to 90k speed. I'm not sure exactly what it is. And that's enough to get to Dragon Roost Island in one frame. So people like to use metronomes. It's very ESS precise because if you hit a different ESS position, then it'll change how quickly you gain speed. If you are a frame late, you will be way off. So that's why this is a very precise trick. You have to time it pretty well. But if you get used to the timing, if you find your own method, it'll work. One thing that's true for every single trick is you have to get the right angle. So this is how you get the angle. As soon as we finish talking to the bird, you can aim at this post right here. And then Ian likes to time it with a metronome and get the right ESS position. So if you're going to use a metronome, it's about 5 beats at 129 BPM if you're pausing the game. If you're listening to the game sound. If you're not listening to the game sound, it's faster. It's about 134, I believe, is the metronome. If you're not using game sound, if you're just timing it with a button press. Because there's a delay with pausing the game and it changes the metronome. So you're going to item slide into this corner. So you item slide into the corner and then you target. And then hopefully you got the right amount of speed. He got a perfect island hop. If you don't get a perfect island hop, you would have to manual super swim back up. So this is a perfect island hop. And then you're going to swim off of Dragon Roost. Depending on whether you end up on the back or the front, you got to learn how to swim off the back or the front of Dragon Roost Island so that you don't have to, waste extra time. So now we're going to swim all the way to Outset Island, which you have to go to the left of. It depends on which side of the island you're swimming off of. If you're on the back side of the island, you swim to the right of Fire Mountain. If you're from the front, you swim to the left of Fire Mountain. So now we go. Ian likes to go to kind of towards the back of Outset, which makes you sploosh less often. And look, the pirate ship's right there. Now we're going to go to this corner right here, and then we're going to do a charge target item slide. We're going to aim at the pole. You could aim kind of to the left of the pole, Ian kind of aimed a little bit too far to the right, made him lose time because he had to grab the pirate ship. So you got to aim more to the left of that. And then there's no password, so always walk in. So you're going to go on the pirate ship, you're going to side hop onto the switch, and you're going to swing on the ropes. The ropes are always on the same cycle, so that's the same as like the wind in Dragon Roost. And you're just going to hop across these first two, like this. Ian kind of failed it, but you can get to that next one if you get the timing correct. You skip one of the ropes, and then you just... ropes are pretty easy on HD compared to SD. You can literally just turn while you're swinging. So you end up here, and you talk to Nico. And he's so amazed. How did you do that? Oh my goodness. So now you can roll to the chest. I'm not sure if Ian gets a roll, but it saves a little bit of time rather than walking. So roll here saves time. Yeah, he did a roll. So these are bombs. The only reason there are bombs in this pirate ship is because we got the Gossip Stone. This whole segment is skipped in bomb skip. So anyway, we're going to save quit from the pirate ship. At this point, you have to have hero mode on. If you've never turned on hero mode before this point, this is when you turn on hero mode. There's one other chance, but it loses about 5 seconds if you turn on hero mode. I'll tell you when. So now we end up here. Again, like I said, that soft lock would have happened right now because we got the bombs if we did not fix save flags by voiding out and spawning on the pirate ship. So now we're going to roll off the dock, equip bombs. You can equip bombs while you're rolling off the dock. Saves a little bit of time rather than just staying still. You're going to charge an item slide, but make sure you don't go too far towards that bush or else you'll trigger the windfall cutscene, which will lose a little bit of time. Ian likes to charge backwards this item slide because it minimizes your chance of clipping through the island when you charge. This can be kind of finicky, this swim. Sometimes Link just like pops under the water. It's really weird. So you item slide, pull out a bomb to prevent you from building more speed, and then you slowly go into the water, and you want to get the camera behind Link because then you'll be moving in the correct direction. Like I said, he doesn't do it, but you can hold target and hit up on the C-stick, then let go of target, and the camera will be right behind Link. And then you just hit down. And this is a good super swim. Again, make sure you know how to slow down. You can't sploosh on the island, but that can happen. Where you really just you clip through the ground. And the whole reason we get the quiver is because we want to shoot light arrows later, because if we don't get the quiver upgrade, which gives you 60 arrows, we will have just 0 arrows whenever we get light arrows. And light arrows are 100% necessary if you're beating the game. You cannot beat the game without light arrows. So instead, we have to do this very fun, and by fun I mean not very fun, item slide into the island, which depends on your ESS and the positioning you are. So the way it works is you're going to go right here, and this is about a good visual cue to look at. So you see where where he put his dot, you want to make sure the dot isn't aimed upwards or else it'll change your visual cue. So you aim the dot kind of like right there. That's a good place to aim it. And you want to get a really good ESS. By good, I mean very close to the neutral. So you want to just barely tilt the analog stick so that the game even registers a tilt. And then you want to go all the way up the slope. And what will happen is when Link hits the top of this slope right here, he will clip. So you can see he just clipped right now and looks kind of weird. But basically, clipping means he's actually popping through the ground. He's actually going down. And then he shoots off in the direction he was going in 1 frame. Like I said, if you go off an edge with an item slide, you go in 1 frame with all your speed. Unless you get stopped by something. In the middle of the island, there's actually a hole. And we're literally like digging to the hole, is what we're doing. We're going under that wall to the hole, which is the loading zone that we're trying to get to. So that wall right there, so see that wall at the top? You actually cannot go through that wall. It's pretty rock solid. Instead, because the ground is sloped, you can actually clip through the ground. So that ground at the very top, you can actually clip through that corner of the island. And the faster speed you have, the lower you clip. Meaning the lower the height you get, you can actually go under the loading zone. So if you have too much speed, meaning you backed up too far or your ESS is too good for your location, you will actually clip way too low, like Ian does right here, and he'll go under the loading zone. So it's ESS dependent and positioning dependent. Positioning is not that bad, the problem is ESS. If you have too low speed, you actually won't even clip, or you'll just clip in place, meaning too high, because Link will just pop right back up the ground. But if you have the correct speed and the correct water cycle, you'll just go right through and you go into the loading zone. So there you go. He just hit the hole from behind and then gone in here. So This is the quiver upgrade. You just talk to the fairy, and she'll give you 60 arrows, which you can't use. You can't use yet, but you will use later in the run. We get the quiver upgrade, and we're going to leave the fairy fountain. Get the quiver upgrade, item slide backwards to save a small amount of time rather than rolling. And so this part right here is pretty cool. We're actually going to escape the fairy fountain. You'd say, what? How do we escape the fairy fountain without digging our way out? Well, this wall with the vines is actually only solid in one direction. So it's solid from entering the fairy fountain. So you literally can't enter this wall by going past the vines, but you can't exit. So what you do is you side hop to the left and then you jump slash, and that makes you hit the vines, damaging you and making you leave. By the way, if you want to safety save quit, you can right here, but it loses about 5 seconds. So right here you can save quit. Because save flags are fixed, you will spawn outside of the fairy fountain. But this is faster. This is faster by about 5 seconds. And so you do the jump slash. That damages you to now 2 and a half heart. We have to get down to a full heart of damage. We're going to do a trick called the Deku cutscene skip. So then he gets damaged by the chew, which says a full heart if you're in hero mode. So now he's at 1.5. While he's waiting for the water to work, you have to get the water to go down, which is RNG from what we know. The waves have to be in a way where you can actually item slide against that pillar, and then you pull a bomb, and then you just turn and you go towards Forest Haven, which is southwest of this island. So you actually have to turn. So you item slide against the pillar. If you go too fast against the pillar, you actually clip through it. So that's as soon as you pull a bomb, you clip. So you have to get the right amount of speed. That's why this is so tough. Also, you don't see how he's item sliding perfectly against the pillar. If you go too far to the right, too far to the left, you slide off the pillar. So you gotta make sure you don't slide off the pillar. Also, if you're sliding off while you enter the water, you actually don't have control of Link for a certain amount of time. You could sploosh on Fire Mountain. If you fail the swim, your run is dead, like completely dead, because you'll spawn on the King Red Lions if you save quit, and you will end up way out in the middle of the ocean, an entire quadrant away from this island. It's completely dead. If you save quit, you could save your run, but again, it saves time. It loses time to save quit from the fountain to have that save. If you save without quitting, but you had already saved on this island, you could save your run. But like I said, people don't save here because this one's not that bad, but it can kill your run. You're on the boat, but don't worry, the boat can't softlock you. If you do decide to roll towards the boat right now, it will softlock you. So you got to be careful not to accidentally roll towards the boat from this point on in the run. So don't go towards the boat, but he won't softlock you. Now you can go up here. You can actually jump slash after jumping there, which saves like a very short amount of time. And then you item slide at this wall right here, and Link is actually going to this is another clip you're doing. You have to hit forward after item sliding to convert to positive speed, because this clip only works with positive speed. With positive speed, if you have enough speed, you will clip, but you'll be shot straight down. Because remember what I said about the higher speed you have, the lower you'll go when you clip? That's true for this too. But if you clip very low under the ocean, the water will just pop you right back up. So you just end up jumping a couple feet above the water, and Link just jumps. And then you could swim towards the loading zone, which skips climbing all the way up there. So that's very important to do this clip. One thing to note is that when you enter the water, it helps to hold kind of to the right, so that Link automatically starts swimming the right, so you don't flip back in bounds. So you go into the waterfall. You can actually swim right at the loading zone. Ian went too far to the left right there. And this is Forest Haven. So we're about to do the Deku cutscene skip. So we're going to item slide here, and this is a very small optimization we're about to do. A very small movement optimization, which is my favorite movement optimization in the game. We're going to item slide, and then we're going to convert to positive speed by hitting forward. Then we're going to pull a bomb. Then we're going to press B to drop the bomb and pull a sword. Then we're going to hold target and hit A to jump slash. That skips climbing, and it skips slashing the sword instead of just pulling out with a bomb. You can only do this without bomb skips, so this is my favorite movement optimization. It looks really cool. And then you're going to jump over here, and then you're going to item slide over. One interesting thing to note is that if Ian hadn't bombed himself, you can actually bomb yourself into the cutscene to get to one whole heart. So right here, you could stop the item slide, pull a bomb, turn around, slash the bomb, and then it'll blow you into the cutscene, which skips the get up animation. So that's pretty fast. But he didn't do it because he was waiting for the water anyway. So this is Deku cutscene skip. Probably the coolest trick in the run. Maybe door clip is cooler, I'm not sure. Barrier skip is pretty cool, but this one is actually frame perfect. So the way this trick works, so you're going to bonk that little stump, and that makes the shoes go down. The way Deku cutscene skip works is when the cutscene starts after the last shoe dies, if you die on the exact same frame that shoe finishes its death animation and explodes, this cutscene will try to play, but because you're dead, cutscenes cannot play in this game while you're dead. You're dead, cutscene tries to play, it can't, and then the game thinks the cutscene played, which spawns a leaf, and then you can go all the way back up, and you get the leaf without watching the cutscene. It saves about 40 to 50 seconds. So you're going to want to bomb the shoes and bomb yourself, which kills them and stuns them at the same time. You want to get down to the last shoe. If it's green, it takes 2 hits, by the way. So he's going to hit it once, and then he's going to hit it again. What you're going to do is you're going to target the shoe, you're going to slash with your sword, and then you're going to pull bomb, you put it down, and then you start pausing. And you want to look for specific frames. You want to look for specific frames of the shoe death animation, and I'll show that. So you can see here, Ian so he's pausing. I believe that's the first frame. He could have done it on this frame, but instead he skipped over a frame. He got to the 3rd frame, and then he gets a pause overlay. So you can see he actually gets the pause overlay there. So that's the 3rd frame with a pause overlay. So because it's the 3rd frame with a pause overlay, he holds back. So he holds away from where the shoe is. The away as in back, like towards Link's back, and B and ZL. And he gets the cutscene skip. So does it, and he gets it. So very difficult trick if you don't know what you're doing, but if you know what you're doing, it's 3 frames. So it's actually not that bad. So you're going to not save and continue, and you will spawn at the start of Forest Haven. The other reason we fixed save flags is because it actually makes this trick much faster, because we would have spawned at Windfall if we didn't fix save flags. So that's another reason why we did it. So you're going to go all the way back up, do the exact same movement. We're going to go all the way back in. All this is the exact same movement. And then as soon as you enter this room, the branch that the leaf is on is actually on a timer that swings back and forth, which is very important for a skip we're going to do, called bulb skip, which saves, everyone says it's 6 seconds. I'm pretty sure it's 3. It's not a lot of time saved, and if you miss it, you fall all the way down. So you're going to go up these bulbs. This is pretty easy. You're going to grapple this spot like that. You're going to go up the bulbs, keep going. On the second to last bulb, you can actually turn to the right, and this is what the visual cue should look like. This is the visual cue for bulb skip. If you line up the camera just like this, you will actually go and he will hit the very corner. It looks like he's floating in the air because it's actually shaped like a square and barely make it on. If the branch swings away, you have several pixels of room. But if the branch swings towards you, so as you can see here, the branch, I believe, is swinging towards him. So it was swinging towards him. So you could see that he had more wiggle room. But if the branch is swinging away, it still works if you have the visual cue perfect. Then you could slide up onto the leaf, which saves a little bit of time, and that's the leaf. So the items we needed to complete the game were bombs, the quiver upgrade, and the leaf. And we also needed to complete FF1. We also needed the grappling hook to do most of these tricks. And the only reason we completed FF1, by the way, is because if you don't spawn the boat, the game crashes in Hyrule. Unfortunately, the King of Red Lions is necessary to not crash the game, and that's it. That's the only reason why he's necessary. Fixing save flags is not even important in the bomb skip route. So we're going to save quit, we're going to turn off hero mode, because we need to spawn hearts later in the run to do more Thubber. So we're going to go do Beetle Swim. So you're going to go away from Beetle's boat, wait for a very short amount of time, and then you're going to go back. So it's a very short amount of time, but it has to be the same time. So you go like this, and you go back. And that makes Beetle's ship move so that this swim is possible. And so you cannot do it without his ship moving a little bit, because you want his ship to make a little ramp to actually swim off the boat and to go into the water. So there's a lot of ways to do Beetle swim. Ian does a certain way. I'll explain his method. So he goes into the water, he turns to the left, and then he charges an item slide to the left, staying on the ship, and then just holds target to make Link go into the water. If you charge too much speed, you clip through the island, so don't charge too much speed. If you go too fast into the water, he'll sploosh. So that's why you have to have that perfect angle. So you want to make sure that you're looking at this angle right here. And then, like I said, you just charge the item slide and just hold target. Hold nothing on the analog stick, just target. And he'll go into the water. There's another way you can do this swim. Instead of facing out towards the ocean, you can actually face towards the shore. So you have to face 90 degrees to the left of where you faced before. The benefits of doing it this way instead of that way is that you have no chance of clipping through the island regardless of how much speed you have. The problem with this method that many people face is that when you are done charging the item slide, it's hard to get into the water the moment that you have the correct amount of speed. So instead of going into the water as quickly as you can once you get the correct amount of speed and timing that perfectly, what you can instead do is you can pull a bomb, but be very careful, because if you pull a bomb and you are holding a direction on the analog stick, Link will actually turn around and then he'll clip through the island. So he can only not clip if he's not turned around. So in order to prevent Link from turning around, you want to make sure he's already moving to the left after you charge the item slide, and then you want to pull bomb, and it helps if you pause buffer it. Then you want to get off the island, so you want to go, he likes to turn Link and then go down away from the island, and then pause, and then hold down the analog stick, and then you fly across the ocean, and this is the correct angle to look at. So you're just looking for Forsaken Fortress. So we're going to go into Forsaken Fortress 2, which is in the farthest northwest part of the ocean. So we're going literally across the entire ocean. I mean, it's almost all the way across the ocean, diagonally. So this is the longest swim in the game in terms of distance. But it's actually not that hard, because there's nothing really that can sploosh you on the way except for Ice Ring on the left. But that's pretty it. Maybe Windfall on the right, but that's only if you're way off with these. You can sploosh if you hit Forsaken Fortress too quickly. So you want to actually slow down like this, and you want to aim for this corner right by the rock over here. And then you want to stop your item slide, and then you want to turn around and just literally item slide into the corner here. It's not that precise, but if you aim too far to the left, you'll hit the Phantom Cannon trigger. So just make sure you aim kind of over here, you get used to it, and you'll go right by the stairs. And then you roll up the stairs, and as you notice, Forsaken Fortress is nighttime, which is what it's supposed to be, honestly. Only in Layernip is it daytime, because that's just a weird layer that the game is put on. Well, right after you finish Forsaken Fortress 1, it's on that layer. But because we did a lot of stuff after Forsaken Fortress 1, we lost that layer. So we actually have to do door clip, and we have to do Phantom Ganon skip. So we're going to go up these stairs, we're going to turn around, and we're going to item slide backwards, and then target. This makes us fling to the left, and then after you hit target, you're just going to go all the way up these stairs right here. There's another little movement optimization you can do right here that Ian does not do. But when you item slide up here, you can actually hit forward to convert to positive speed, which prevents you from clipping. He stops his item slide, and he turns around and pulls a bomb. If he did not pull bomb, he would clip through the ground here, because for some reason, if you're turned backwards with negative speed, or if you have positive speed, you don't clip. So instead of pulling bomb right there, you can actually just hit positive speed, and then slowly make your way up the slope. If you go too fast, you'll clip, by the way. So you got to go kind of slow, and then turn the camera, keep your item slide going, then hold up, and then you want to just slash, target slash. So that was a pretty complex movement. I'll explain what Ian did instead, which isn't much slower, and it's not as risky either if you don't know what you're doing. So you're going to go up here, you want to pull grappling hook, and then you want to item slide with negative speed by holding down ESS, and then just pull bomb by pressing the bomb button, and then press B to put it down, and you go around here, and then you pull grappling hook again. So then you aim at this ledge right here with an item slide backwards. You hold target while pressing B. Target's very important. You could do this without target, but it depends on your up angle. If you hit target, Link will go exactly where the dot is. So he goes literally exactly to where the dot is. Does not matter your up angle. He has to jump, so you have to press up. So make sure you do that. Climb down here, do a roll off, but after you roll, don't hold any direction on the analog stick, so he just slides down. You can pull grappling hook in the air like he does, saves a little bit of time. Item slide up here, and in one item slide, you go all the way around these stairs. Make sure you don't go too far to the left there. You can trigger the mini blends if you go too far to the left. If you trigger the mini blends, you have to go inside a door in Forsaken Fortress to get rid of them. The other thing, if you trigger Phantom Ganon, if in this item slide you went way too far back or into the right, you would trigger Phantom Ganon. If that happens, you have to go in a door also to get rid of him. So mini blends and Phantom Ganon, you have to go in a door to get rid of them. You're going to go up to here. You're going to stop the item slide, and he pulls grappling hook to stop the item slide, which is the fastest way to do it. If you decide to do this with positive speed makes you turn faster, so you could prefer to do this whole item slide forwards rather than backwards by just hitting up and then targeting. If you want to make him turn around really quickly to start this next item slide, you have to pull grappling hook, then press A to release it, then turn around and pull grappling hook again, which is faster than rolling to stop the item slide. So this is another thing to note. You're going to go here, you're going to turn around. There's a little section over here between two corners that you want to item slide at. See where the dot's aiming on that little diagonal line? You want to aim there. For this, you don't hold up while you slash, you hold right. If you hold all the way right, Link will jump. So you want to make sure you hold right. See how he jumps there? He wouldn't have jumped there, he wouldn't have made it. So that's why you want to hold all the way right when you do this item slide. It's a target slash. So you hold right, while you're holding right, you hold target, and then you slash while holding target. So you go here, you turn around, and you're going to do another item slide up this slope. But this one's kind of tricky. So the way that you do this item slide, after you aim the dot, if you want to not home buffer this, you have to press target after B. Right after, like 2 frames after. So you got to time it pretty well. That makes Link go forwards. If you did not press target after pressing B, you would have to get a good up angle. So that's just something you can do. And then you pull leaf. If you don't want to have that risky target press, you can home buffer. So you just press the home button, and then you, while holding B, up, and target, you press home button again, and then you'll end up doing this. You pull leaf, you leaf around. You don't even have to leaf from this. The whole point of this whole sequence that we did right here, this whole sequence right here, is to skip the Phantom Ganon trigger. Because there's a Phantom Ganon trigger that will warp you all the way down and make you have to start everything over again right to the right of here. So see that saddle spot? That's where the Phantom Ganon trigger is, and it's huge, and it extends all the way up. People like to jump slash after they go down from the leaf. Jump slash makes you move forward in the air, so it makes sure you land on the spot. It also saves magic. Here you have to make sure gyro is off, and you're going to turn Link around, and this is another quick item slide. You turn around, you pull grapple hook, and you item slide all the way up and to the corner. So now we're at the corner. Now we're going to do a trick called door clip. See that peg right there? We can't smash it without the skull hammer, but we can't get the skull hammer because we need to beat Phantom Ganon. And you can't beat Phantom Ganon without the Master Sword, and you can't get the Master Sword without raising the Tower of the Gods. But there is another way to get Master Sword. There's only 2 ways in this game that are known to get Master Sword, and raising the Tower of the Gods is just way too slow. So we're not doing that. And the reason we have to go through this door is because we want to get to Hyrule as quickly as possible. But this door, unfortunately, is in the way, and we can't unload it in the sail skip route, so we have to clip through it, which does save an enormous amount of time because we did door clip. If we didn't do door clip, we'd have to buy the sail because you need bombs, and you'd have to do layer in it to unload the door. And if you have bombs, you complete Forsaken Fortress 1, you soft lock unless you have the sail. So not buying the sail requires you to do door clip. So the way door clip works is there's a small door in Forsaken Fortress 2. For some reason, they put a door with collision under the ground. And you can also clip through the ground, meaning you go under the ground. If you hit the door, it'll stop your momentum. Then you have to gain the remaining height to get under this big door. So again, gyro off. You're going to pull the grappling hook and kind of back walk. So see how the dot is bobbing up and down? That makes it so he doesn't move right to left, which helps line up the angle. You're going to aim up the dot, so you see that smudge on the right, that kind of bright spot. The right side of the dot is touching the smudge, and that's the correct angle. Aim the dot right there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to charge an item slide forward, and you're going to hit up to convert to positive. Then what's going to happen is a weird thing, and it's weird because it's a weird shot. The dot is actually going to start dipping. Link himself is going to look like he's dipping. He's actually not going under the ground. The dot's going to go up off the screen, so now it's gone. And then you're going to start pause buffering here. And you want to pause buffer frame by frame as the dot goes on the screen. So the dot's going to start going on the screen. This is one frame of the dot being on the screen. This is, okay, so he actually got a 2-frame pause here. This is the correct frame. So when the dot is at the middle of the screen again, that's the right frame for you to release all your speed, because this is around 3,000 speed. Door clip works at around 2,400. So we're going to have to lose that remaining speed, and the best way to do that is to hold target. But if we hit target right here, just target, we will go to the right. Because with positive speed, if you target, you go to the right unless you did an inverted item slide. With negative speed, you go to the left. So we have to convert to negative speed by holding down. So we hold down and we hold target and we unpause. And what Ian actually does is he pauses again and holds left in target. You have to hold target the whole time. So he unpauses and then he pauses again and then he holds left. There's another way you can do it. Instead of holding left and pausing, you can just hold down and then hold up while you're targeted. You actually have to convert your speed back to positive. So literally, we're converting our speed from negative to negative back to positive. It's ridiculous. It's a lot of conversions. So right here, his speed's negative, and then it's positive, and then it's negative right here, and then it's positive again. To convert back to positive at the very, very end, because door clip only works with positive speed, not negative, this method of it at least. The way to convert back to positive that I like to do is after targeting and holding down, keep holding down and target and unpause, and then just go from down to up and you'll be fine. So up and target is what we're doing. You're going to move the camera with a C-stick. And you're going to move the camera, which changes the direction Link is moving. So he's facing the same direction. The reason we can do this trick and get a consistent angle to hit that door under the big door, which stops us before we jump up, is by looking at the way he's moving. So you can see right now he's doing this kind of scooting. See that scooting he's doing? If Ian then turns the camera, he's going to start running forwards right now. See how he's running forwards right now? So he's running forwards, and then he clips. So he clips when he hits 2,400 speed. The reason you have to do that thing where he runs forwards and not scooting is because if you clip while you're in this animation, there's a chance that you'll just pop right up right where you're standing and nothing will happen. Because the less speed you have, the higher you clip. The more speed you have, the lower you clip. When you scoot, you lose speed faster, which you may say, oh, that's good, I can clip faster. And yes, you do clip at a faster rate, about twice as quickly. But it significantly lowers your chances of clipping to the point that most runners don't see it worth it because then you have to set up again. The reason you can pop right up where you're standing, just hop in place, is because Link will clip too high because he's losing speed so quickly that he will drop to such a low speed that he'll clip too high above the ground. And then he'll just clip in place, and then you have to start the item slide again. So that's why we run forwards, because that, to what we know, it has a 100% chance of working. Also, when you're changing the camera angle, you want him to be barely to the right. So you want his up angle to be so that he's barely running instead of scooting to the side. And that makes it so that you'll have the correct angle for him to hit the door based on where you set up the dot. When he clips, he will go right on the door, and they'll jump back up. He can also grab the door. The reason we did this setup right here where we pause buffered is because this weird shot tells us how much speed we have. So we know how much speed we have, we know what angle we have, and it's very quick for him to clip if you know what you're doing. And then you go into the helm rock loading zone. So this cutscene right here is a very special cutscene. In fact, it's the most important cutscene probably in the entire game, because this marks a transition point between two different types of cutscenes, Animation Set 1 and Animation Set 2. This cutscene right here is mandatory to beat the game, completely mandatory, because every cutscene after this will crash if you didn't trigger this cutscene. So let's say you didn't want to do door clip, and you said, okay, I want to get the Master Sword normally by completing all the first 3 dungeons. You can do that, raise Tower of the Gods, go to Hyrule 1, get the Master Sword. Okay, if you do barrier skip, Puppet Ganon will actually crash your game, because that cutscene actually requires this cutscene in order to not crash, because this cutscene goes from animation set 1 to animation set 2, and then everything in animation set 1 would then crash the game afterwards. So there's a couple, I'm not sure exactly which cutscenes are in animation set 1, but I know for sure that Puppet Ganon is in animation set 2. So as soon as you enter the Puppet Ganon room, you would crash the game. That's why this cutscene is mandatory, and also, fortunately, we only even have to raise Tower of the Gods, so this is the fastest cutscene in the game. This is the fastest way to get to the end game that we know of, is the early Master Sword route. And this cutscene is very screwed up for many, many different reasons. Don't be surprised, but Link has a butter knife instead of a Master Sword, and Ariel floats away because Gonzo we never met, and he picks her up, and she floats away, but he's invisible because for some reason we never triggered the flag of him being there, so the game decides to make him invisible. So Tetra is talking to an invisible person right now, and he's about to pick up Ariel, and she's going to float away. So that's very interesting. So he picks her up, and she floats away. Woo! So now we're going to get to Helmarok, but we actually can't beat Helmarok, and we don't want to because it's slower anyway. You need to beat Helmarok by having the Skull Hammer. Again, that requires the Master Sword, so we're just going to skip Helmarok. So we're going to item slide all the way up here. You can do positive or negative speed, doesn't matter. You want to stop your item slide when you get here, wait for Helmarok to fall, and then what you're going to do is you're going to climb up this ledge, and you're going to just hold down. Holding down is going to make Link try to turn around the same frame that he climbs up, and if the camera was behind him correctly, that 180-degree turn will make him just clip through the ground. Then you're going to go around here, you're going to crawl under the ground. You can take damage out of that spike there. Damage is going to be very important because you're going to want to get to 2 1/4 heart to minimize your time loss from taking extra damage later in the game. So just keep that in mind from here on. You want to be at a 2 1/4 heart before you enter Puppet Ganon. So that's why you can take damage there. It's not that much slower. You crawl under here, you jump up there, and you can roll around here. But if you fall, you can leaf maybe to go back in. It's pretty tough. If you fall, you lose your run. So then you can pull Grappling Hook in the air, you go all the way up here, and then we go to early Master Sword. So we just skipped Helmarok, which saves a boatload of time. And now, if you notice, Link has a Master Sword, and he has the Hero's Clothes, but we don't actually keep those. For some reason, in order for Link to have the Master Sword in this cutscene, the game literally just gives him the Master Sword, and he also has the Hero's Shield. So you notice his outfit. Look, he has the Master Sword, he has the Hero's Shield, and he has the Hero's Clothes. He doesn't keep the clothes, luckily, because we love being in the game in the pajamas. But he does keep the Master Sword, and he keeps the Hero's Shield. That's very, very, very important. Because if this didn't work, we would have to get the Master Sword normally in the game. And barrier skip would not save nearly as much time as it does save, because we would have to raise the Tower of the Gods. And then we would have to go all the way back through this cutscene to get animation set 2. And then we have to go all the way to the Tower of the Gods. That loses a lot of time. Yes, we wouldn't have to door clip, but we probably still would, because getting the Skull Hammer is still kind of slow. So, like I said, we have the Master Sword. Why is the Master Sword important? Only for one segment. And that one segment, I will show you, is right here. For one slash. That's why the Master Sword is important. The Master Sword is important because of this. That. Right there. Defeating Puppet Ganon in this final room to get light arrows requires the Master Sword. If we didn't have it, we'd have to raise the Tower of the Gods. So luckily we don't. So we're going to do this cutscene. This is a very, very long cutscene. And Tetra is Zelda, by the way, in case you were wondering. So we're going to go through this cutscene. We're going to go to Hyrule. The Tower of the Gods is not raised here. Something interesting to note. And so this cutscene right here, at the very end of it, you're going to have to hold kind of up and right. The reason you want to hold up and to the right is because The boat, you're going to have to get out of the boat here. And this is actually where the game would crash if you never met the King Red Lions. Because Link would try to get out of the boat when there's no boat there, and the game just crashes when that happens. So right here, you got to hold kind of up and to the right, and if you hold it correctly, you can actually run away from the boat. Ian didn't get it perfectly right there, but you can actually run away and escape the soft lock. So he's asking, have you bought the sail? And he'll keep asking over and over again, but it is possible to escape the soft lock. That's one of the main reasons why this route works. You're going to go over here, and we're going to clip all the way across Hyrule to the barrier. So this is a different way that most people consider easier, and I do too, to go to the other side. It's called Hyrule Clip. And there's another way to do it, but I'll just explain this way. We're going to use an aim kind of to the left, and you're going to item slide to the top, and then you're going to hold kind of down and to the left, more to the left than down, to start item sliding down the slope, and then it's going to clip you all the way here. And you have to make sure that you're moving at the correct speed down the slope. You want to pull leaf as soon as you clip, just in case, because if you have the wrong angle, you will clip over the bridge, and then you'll fall and void out, and you'll have to start again. So then you go to the barrier. And the first part of skipping the barrier, there's actually two parts to it. And the first part is actually more difficult than the second part. First part's the knockback barrier, which actually extends all the way inside the barrier. It's actually a solid, like, fluid thing that is everywhere inside of the barrier. And you have to cancel it. And the best way we know to do it, the best way in this route is actually to pull the Wind Waker on this and have it be pulled on the same frame that the knockback ends. And so the first time you approach the barrier, you just want to spam Wind Waker. But then after that, there's a more consistent way of doing it. If spamming it didn't work, you can actually back up towards the barrier. And this only works if you back up and you can time the Wind Waker pull. So you back up, and you time it, he didn't get it right there. You have to just time it on the perfect frame. So you back up, you time it, he's messing up a lot. That's why it's frame perfect, by the way. And then he got it. So then you want to go to the left, and we're going to set up a visual cue. You want to make sure gyro is off. You want to go all the way to this corner, and you want to go into C-Cam, and you want to aim all the way up, and then you want to look at the pixel. So this is the top left of the screen that you'll see. This is in color. There's a lot of different angles. There's like 65,000 angles in a 360-degree turn, and only about 12 of them work. One thing to note is that you want to make sure your monitor is not cutting off any pixels, and a lot of people like to look really close at the screen when you do this. Once you get the angle and you think it's correct, you backlink up a little bit before you item slide into the wall. You can press target out of the C-Cam. Make sure you don't target the wall, or else you have to start your angle all over again. And you back up, and you pull out the grappling hook, and you item slide forwards. But when you item slide forwards, what you want to do is you want to make sure you're not item sliding too far to the left, or else Link will just pop out of the barrier and you have to start over it, all over again with the damage, with the knockback cancel. So what you want to do is you want to hold up, and you want to hold kind of down left ESS. And then you want to hit kind of a little bit up right, or just up, it doesn't really matter, as long as you get the convert to positive, and you'll see a little change in Link's animation, and then you want to target. And after you target, you hold nothing. But one thing I want to note is that you don't want to charge too much speed, because barrier skip, it does work in a huge range of speeds, but if he has too much speed, you got to wait for him to get to the correct speed to clip. So that's why you don't want to build too much speed, and it'll take him a second to start clipping, and then he'll just do it. The way barrier skip works is it's actually completely different from door clip, because he's not clipping through the ground, he's clipping in a corner. So his collision is actually not being checked, and he's actually going through two walls that come and meet in the center. So you can see those two walls, they meet at an angle, and he stops there, and then he'll just go right through if you have the correct angle. It's only angle dependent, and it's very, very lenient with speed, unlike door clip, which works at multiple angles, but only a very precise amount of speed. So then you item slide around here, you go to this point right here, and you charge to the left, and then you aim kind of to the left of that pillar. You're aiming into the black area, but you want to make sure the dot is not aimed too far to the left. Because if you aim too far to the left, you'll actually go through the loading zone, because there's no collision at the back of it, and you'll just go way off the map, and you have to redo barrier skip. You want to aim kind of at the right wall, so he hits the right side of the wall, and then he'll just go right in and you're good. So now we have finished barrier skip, and we are now in Ganon's Castle, the final dungeon of the game, in 42 minutes and 45 seconds. So you're going to item slide all the way up here, you're going to go in this door, and we're going to do a trick called trial skip. So you're going to item slide into this left corner by the door backwards, target slash at the top of the door frame. You're going to roll off, you're going to scoot Link to the left of the ledge all the way into the wall, and you're going to climb up. And holding target, you're going to pull bomb, you're going to press B to drop the bomb behind you, then you're going to backflip, then you're going to pull leaf, then you're going to aim kind of to the left, forward and to the left of the leaf. You're going to press A to drop down and grab the door frame while holding up. When Link's legs go straight, see how they're straight right here? You can pause buffer this. It's about 3 frames, but it's a lot faster to just time it, and most runners don't have problems timing a 1/10 of a second trick. It's not that bad. And you're going to hit right. It's a 3-frame window when his legs go straight like this. You're going to hold right, and what that's going to do is the bomb is actually going to push him out of bounds. So Link is going to try to go into the bomb, but the bomb's going to say, "Nuh-uh, you can't go into me," so it's going to push him into the wall. And this is actually going to make him go all the way out of bounds, and then you pull leaf. So when you pull leaf, you can actually do backwards trial skip if you just hold target and aim Link. But if you want to see where you're going, you can turn around and just leaf over to the loading zone. And it doesn't require any leaf bumps if you do it right. So that was trial skip. We're going to walk here, and then we're just going to pull leaf. So right here, he's going to have the perfect amount of magic. See how much magic he has? That's enough for 1 light arrow. If you have this amount of magic, do not pull leaf. Because if you pull leaf, in the next room when you need to shoot a light arrow, you won't have enough magic. This maze, we're just going to item slide through it. It's always the same. It's always back, left, up, left, right, up. So that's what the maze is. On the very last one, you pull a bomb and you press A to open the door right after, and you can skip that cutscene of him looking back. Phantom Ganon here has 3 different animations that he can do, and it's all RNG based. The slowest is pulling a red ball, the second slowest is doing a blue ball, and the fastest is if he spawns in a circle. If he spawns in a circle around you, it's always the one that's behind where Link is facing that will be the true one. You just have to hit it with the Master Sword once. If you get a blue ball, you go very close to him, right under him, as quickly as you can, and you could either spin attack or you can just hit it normally with a sword. You can also hit it with a bottle, very amusingly. You can hit the blue ball with a bottle and then send it back to him. If you get this red ball, you want to back up. You got to get pretty far back, and then you got to spin attack right when they hit you, and then they'll all hit Phantom Ganon. And then you just hit him once in the Master Sword, you're good. Here he's going to bomb himself because... So that's why you want to take damage when you can, so you can get 2 1/4. So you're actually not the right damage. This is the light arrows. The whole reason we got leaf and the quiver upgrade was just for light arrows. If we did not need magic and we didn't need a quiver, we wouldn't get leaf or quiver. So we're going to get light arrows, we're going to equip them, we're going to go into this room, and now we have to kill Phantom Ganon. This is the main reason why light arrows are needed. So we're going to go toward the door, and then that will make him spawn. And then you shoot him. Again, remember, if he spawns in a circle, it's always the one behind you. And then you take the sword and you throw it at the door to break the door. This is a pretty tough room. You want to break the magic. You're always going to get magic in this room when you first do it. So you want to pull out the sword, break this pot to get magic, and spin attack the magic. It helps you pick it up quicker. You want to go up the room, and you want to convert to positive while you're doing these item slides, because then you're already holding forwards, which helps you do the next item slide. So you want to shoot all these enemies with light arrows, and item slide all the way up. And you can double shot these moblins. So you double shot like that, and you have enough magic to hit these 2. And you want to roll and get these 2 magic pots right here. You want to make sure you're at 2 1/4 heart before you enter here. It's not mandatory, but it just loses time. So he's at too much health right now. The reason you want 2 1/4 heart, because that's the maximum health that keys can drop magic. Unfortunately, this fight requires RNG. You need to get an RNG magic drop from the keys. Every keys has a 50% chance of dropping magic if you have at least 2 1/4 hearts. So that's why you want 2 1/4, but you do want to damage down, and the fastest way to damage down is during this fight, because Puppet Ganon deals a boatload of damage, and you want to be at low enough damage that you can do Morph Hover right away without having to bomb yourself over and over again after the fight. So that's a little time save. Puppet Ganon has 3 phases. This is pretty difficult because you have to hit some pretty tough shots with light arrows, and if you run out of magic or you don't get good magic RNG, you do lose a lot of time. So this first phase is considered by many, including me, the hardest phase of Puppet Ganon, because while the tail is wagging and Puppet Ganon is moving in RNG direction, either towards you, away from you, left or right, combination of all of them, you have to hit the shots. The good thing is, the first shot is not RNG based. The first shot, he will wag exactly the same. So when the fight just first starts, there's you can aim up and to the left. With the correct timing, it'll always be the same shot. So you pull out the bow, aim up and to the left, that's always the same. So Ian hit that shot. And then the other times you literally just have to shoot while he's wagging his tail. So it's pretty tough. I can't describe the timing. It's more like when the tail starts going to the right is when you shoot the shot. Another thing to note, you do not want to get hit by Puppet Ganon to get you below 2 hearts in this fight. If you get hit by Puppet Ganon, you lose time, because the keys will no longer drop magic if you have less than 2 1/4 heart. So make sure you do not get hit. Also, another good thing to note is that Phantom Ganon can actually knock the pots over on these little pillars, and he can knock down magic. So you can item slide and go get that magic before it despawns. So that's just another cute little thing that does actually work, because its tail can knock it off the platform. You can get that magic, and it can also drop arrows, but arrows aren't as important. You have 60 arrows, it's way more than enough. Puppet Ganon will, after a little bit of time, he'll do a punch. He'll start punching you, and his tail will wag a lot slower, and he'll stay in place. And that's a really good time that you can hit the tail pretty easily. There's also a time where you can shoot the tail down on the ground, and you have to go for a shot where, while he's rising up in the air, you can hit the tail while it's going up. So there's a lot of snipes that you can practice in this fight. So I would definitely practice this phase of the fight the most out of all the other ones. So the second phase, Ian doesn't go for it. At the very beginning of the phase, you can hold target and then roll forwards, which is important because you have to get to a spot really quickly to get this to work. It's called Fast Fire Drop, and it only stays about 6 seconds, and if you don't shoot the keys for magic fast enough, you will not have time to hit the tail. So that's why it's more of an advanced trick. To set up Fast Fire Drop, at the beginning of the phase, you're going to target Puppet Ganon. The reason you're going to hold target is because it makes the camera always in the exact same position, when the camera can actually be in a random position at the beginning of the fight. Then you're going to roll as quickly to the center, and then you're going to look at what direction Puppet Ganon is spinning, and depending on which direction he's spinning, you're going to go to a specific spot in the room. If Puppet Ganon is spinning counterclockwise, you go to this spot. If Puppet Ganon is spinning clockwise, you go to this spot right here. And then you wait in that position until he stops spinning, and then you move to the end of the tail. But Ian instead is taking damage here, which is a good time to take damage, to go to 2 1/4 hearts. So what you want to do is, you want to go to the end of the tail, and you want to hit the ball, and hit the ball again. You can actually hit it twice, which saves an entire cycle of Puppet Ganon spinning. And if you get Fast Fire Drop, which means Puppet Ganon gets stuck, because if you get him to fall in a certain position, he'll get stuck when he goes back up. That's why you go to those spots in the center of the room, so that right when this phase is happening, he'll spin for a less amount of time. Now you're shooting keys and you need RNG for magic. They're all 50% chance if you have 2 1/4 cards. And if you have Fast Fire Drop going on, meaning he got stuck, you'll have barely any time to shoot the keys. Ian doesn't shoot because he didn't get good RNG. Unfortunately, it's RNG, and that's what can happen. So the keys, he got magic. You want to get hit right here. So he would have gotten hit if he had gotten magic there, but he didn't because he needed the magic drop. Now that Puppet Ganon has finished his spin cycle and he's gotten 2 shots on him, he needs to get hit. Because for Morph Hover, you want to be damaged down. This is the fastest way to do it. He deals a whole freaking heart of damage. That's a lot. Also, if you have the correct amount of damage, you can snipe Pup again before he comes down, but it's faster to not snipe him and just get hit. So he gets hit, now he's at 2 1/4, which is a good damage, and then he'll shoot him, and that's the last shot. So that's second phase. Pretty complex, probably the most complex of all the phases. This is third phase. So third phase, the most consistent way we have figured out to do third phase quickly, ends you on 3/4 of a heart. So what we want to do is, you want to do one quick snipe of the tail while he's moving slowly. Then you want to bomb him. That's pretty fast right there. He got bombed pretty quickly. It's kind of RNG whether he decides to go to you, but if he hits the walls, he will start knocking down morphs, and he'll also always go towards Link. All the other times, he kind of likes to go in whatever direction he wants to, but that's the only time it's not RNG is if he hits the walls. After you bomb him, you can go for the shot called Chog Shot, which saves about 3-4 seconds if you get it, and it shortens the fight by a lot, and it minimizes RNG. After you bomb him, you item slide towards the end of the tail like this, you turn around, and then you hit the tail while you're at the very back end, and then you aim up and you time a shot to hit right as the tail goes all the way up in the air, and that's a double shot, just like Crip Shot, and it makes the phase much, much shorter by, like I said, about 4 seconds with perfect RNG. So it minimizes RNG. It saves more than 4 seconds if you're taking RNG into account, but with perfect RNG, it's only about 4 seconds. But you also end on 3/4 of a heart, which is not a quarter. If you don't go for Chalk Shot and you just hit the tail and then bomb Pup again and then hit the tail again, you're at a 1/4 heart. So the big problem is that we have to damage down 2 more times with the bomb to get to a 1/4 of a heart for Morph Hover, because we're going to have to die, unfortunately. But we actually get healed, so it's okay. Morph Hover is a trick where when we're at the top of the room, we're going to have to get to this platform up here. And in order to get to this platform up here, we have to die, and then we have to heal ourselves after doing a trick called a zombie hover. That's the only way we know to gain height in this game. So we're going to have to die. We're going to have to get to a 1/4 of a heart. That's why we have to be damaging down. Because this, we would require hookshot normally. It's so much slower to get hookshot, we just do this hover instead. What Ian decides to do is he decides to bomb himself once at the end of the fight. You can actually bomb yourself later, and it saves more time. So he just lost like a second or two. You're going to go on this rope, and when you go on the rope, you want to mash A. Mashing A will make Link gain height pretty quickly, a lot faster than climbing. However, there's a limit, because if you wait for too long, if you do it too slowly, or if you mash for too long a time, the rope will start swinging. And it swings from the top down. And once the rope starts swinging, you can't do this anymore. Link will just jump off. So that's why you got to stop it, and then you got to just start climbing by holding R and then just climb. After you get up, you want to side hop off. Pulling sword in the air is kind of faster, but Ian got nervous. You want to target this chain. This is called chain climb, and it saves about 6 seconds. It's faster than just grappling that spot. But if you're a beginner, I would recommend just grappling the spot and not doing chain climb, because, yeah, this saves not that much time. It's probably 4 seconds, honestly. You're going to jump slash on here, and then you're going to go up the chain. Ian just does a setup where he jump slashes again, then dry rolls twice, waiting between each dry roll, but I would just dry roll and mash the button as quickly as you can, which saves a lot of time. And then you want to grapple this spot right here. There's ways to mess this up. You can void out by getting crushed at the top. If you went higher up, he would void out and get crushed. If he had a 1/4 of a heart, he would have died, which is not very good. You would also spawn at the bottom of the room if you void out. If you aren't high enough up on the chain, you will miss this grab right here. So he's actually going to swing and then grab. If Link was not high enough, he actually won't grab. You're going to go over here. He likes to get magic here. You can get magic right there, but it doesn't matter. You're going to go up here and grapple that spot and climb up just like a casual run. Going to leaf over, and then we're going to start a trick called Morph Hover. The way it works is that you're going to stab a Morph, and it's going to grab onto the frame that it dies, which is going to make sure that it drops a heart. Because if you shoot a Morph with an arrow, it won't drop a heart. But if you had done this little glitch that makes the morph grab onto you when you stab it with a master sword, it will always drop a heart every single time, as long as your health is low enough. So that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to line up the camera, and it's a lot easier to do without gyro. That's why I do recommend not having gyro on for this. And so if you look at the bottom of the screen, you see the morph has to be in the center of the screen, and you want to kind of line up with this visual cue right here, around right here. And you then want to hold target and stab. You can home buffer it too, which is what he does. He just home buffers because you want it. You also want to hit up. So you want to hit up, target, and B almost on the same frame, and that's why you home buffers it, because it all happens on the same frame if you home buffer it. And then you want to go behind the pot, kind of over here, and then you want to roll the morph off. There's something to note that this won't work if you have something called morph glitch. Morph glitch doesn't go away unless you literally leave the game by home quitting or turning off the console and then restarting. It exist on all of your save files, and it prevents the morph from hopping off links. So if you have morph glitch, the only option is to bonk, and it severely limits your chances of this trick working. It's possible that morph glitch happens, we think, if you finish pup again with a morph on you. So you want to roll all morphs off you when you beat pup again. The most common way that I know that morph glitch happens is if you go through a loading zone or die with a morph on you. If you go in a pot and the morph is on you, you'll get morph glitch. And that's why you want to restart your game pretty much every time between runs, is what people like to do to prevent morph glitch. But he didn't have it. So the morph rolled off him. You roll backwards, and the morph has an RNG element into which direction it jumps, and that can lose you a lot of time to prevent this trick from working. He got perfect RNG right there, which makes the morph go directly towards the platform. And then you're going to blow it with the leaf. And he just bombed himself while he's blowing the morph, which is pretty complex, but it saves time because you're not bombing yourself while nothing's happening. You have to wait for the morph anyway. You can bomb yourself twice here, and that's what I like to do, is end on 3/4 of heart and bomb yourself while you're blowing the morph. If you don't want to do that, just bomb yourself, start at 1/4 of a heart, and just do all this with 1/4 of a heart. It doesn't matter. It loses a little bit of time, like a couple of seconds. You want to keep blowing the morph. You want to get him all the way to the platform. You want to also leaf over while you're blowing him. And then he's going to jump. He's going to go all the way to the top, because the morph, for some reason, can just go right under the platform and go right up through it, which is one of the reasons why this even works. So he's going to go up under the platform, he's going to go up the top. Then you are going to want to walk him over to this corner, because he's going to start following Link. And you want to barely tap to get one of the spikes off. So you see, so that's not close enough. This is close enough, because you want the morph closer to the edge. Then you're going to hold target and sidewalk, because it depends on your speed value whether the morph jumps or not. If you're sidewalking, you don't have enough speed. So you're going to turn the camera. It's faster to turn with gyro. And then you're going to sidewalk. And morph's not going to move if you sidewalk. That's the fastest way to move. If you just rolled over, the morph would jump off, which is not good. Then you're going to go kind of to the center of this beam. You could go a little bit more to the left than that. You're going to shoot the morph. You're going to place a bomb down. And you're going to slash it without holding target. Then after you slash it, you then hold target. Now you're going to have to do a trick called a zombie hover. So the way a zombie hover works is there's a 10-frame window after you get blown back by a bomb that you can press A. And that does a short little jump slash. So what you're going to do is going to press A, and see how he just raised up? He's actually home buffering it, which is the method that I best recommend for doing a zombie hover. And he also is doing 2-thumb mashing. I highly recommend this method for zombie hovering. So what he's going to do is going to time A, and literally like 1 or 2 frames after pressing A, he's going to hit the home button. Because you cannot pause while dying, but you can home buffer. And that is only possible with the gamepad. It's not possible with the Pro Controller. So with the Pro Controller, you can't home buffer. With the Pro Controller, you're going to have to hit A and immediately start mashing B. So the reason zombie hovering works is, first of all, liftoff, which is a 10-frame window, where you can press A and target, and it causes him to do a jump slash, but it cancels the jump slash. So he's not actually going to finish the jump slash, he's just going to stop in the air. And that's why zombie hovering works, is because you can keep chaining together these jump slashes, but it's going to cancel the animation, you're going to keep gaining height. You'll gain height as long as you mash at least 11 times per second with the B button. You can mash up to 15 times per second. Now, why is it 15? The game runs in 30 FPS. The reason is that if you mash faster, the game will read that you're holding the B button, not mashing it, because it has to be one frame the B button is pressed and one frame the B button is released. So because you need 15 frames per second of the game, of the B button being released, you can only mash 15 times per second, because it's one on, one off, one on, one off. So it's literally half of 30 frames per second. So 15 times per second is the fastest you can mash. 11 times per second is actually not very fast. The problem with mashing is not how fast you can mash. The problem is how consistently you can release the B button and time the B presses. So that's what you want to make sure is you have a consistent rhythm with mashing, not speed. Again, you only need about 11 to lift off. This trick requires about 12 to 15 times per second of mashing. You can actually use two hands to mash the B button. That's what I recommend most. You can do it with one hand if you kind of tense your arm, but this way is a lot more relaxed and it doesn't hurt your arm as much. It's not as tiring. And he's going to go all the way up to the heart, mashing B. You don't have to press target while mashing B. And you go all the way up to the heart, and then you drop down as soon as you get to the edge. And that is more clever. And now we have gained the necessary height, and then the final boss is right in this room. So this fight is very short, actually, but one thing to note is that dying is very, very easy in this fight. You get hit once by anything and you're dead. And it's very easy to die. Zelda can kill you, Ganondorf can kill you, a lot of things can. Actually, just those two things, but in a lot of different ways. So one thing you can do that's actually an Easter egg is you can grapple Zelda. If you target her and grapple her, you can actually get hearts from her, 3 hearts, and you can completely refill. It does waste time, and World Record does not do it, because it does waste time. It wastes about 15 seconds. So as the fight starts, you're going to wait for Zelda to talk to her. Don't press A to talk to her, just wait for her to talk to you. And you're going to have sword pulled out. I like to pull sword after mashing the text. And then you're going to target Ganon, and then after she shoots him, you're going to jump slash quick spin, and you're going to then quick spin 2 more times. The way you quick spin, I didn't mention earlier, is you just spin the stick and you press B. So what I like to do is I hold target, press A, and then start spinning the stick over and over again and just mashing B. And that will recommend, so see you get 3 spins. So it's a jump slash quick spin, and then 2 more spin attacks. And then you talk to Zelda again. The reason you talk to Zelda is because talking to her makes her shoot an arrow, again, a light arrow. And this is one way you can beat Ganondorf a lot quicker, is because literally just talking to her makes her shoot faster. And so this is where it's, look how close Link is to it. Actually, the sword is glitching through Link's head. You can die right here very, very easily if you don't know what you're doing. So you're going to have to back up to the left and hold shield. And that way, he will hit your shield most of the time. Actually, sometimes he doesn't even hit your shield. And if he does hit your shield, you'll just get hit by the barrier, and then he can't hit you because you're invulnerable. So that's a way to not die here. And then Zelda shoots him, and that's enough damage to finish this fight. So then this starts the next part of the fight, and you're going to shield, but you want to back away so his hits don't really hit you. And then he's going to do this giant swing. There's RNG element to this where he can do the wrong slash and you can't parry it. But you want him to do the type of RNG slash where you can parry it, where he does these 2 swings and then he goes up in the air. And then you can press A to parry. The thing is, with this fight, there's a very precise way that you can one-cycle it. So if you don't want to do it, you can just parry early, before he hits the ground. And then just jump slash quick spin, and then get him to do it again, you jump slash quick spin again. If you want to get a 1 cycle, which saves about 5 to 10 seconds, I'm not sure exactly how much, you have to go kind of to the left and wait for him to hit the ground, and wait till a specific frame, a specific timing, and then you do the parry. And what that'll do is that when you jump slash quick spin him twice, it'll be enough damage to actually end that phase immediately, because you're hitting parts of his body in the way that it counts as like a double hit, like that. And then then that's one cycle. If you don't get that, you'll have to then do the do the parry again, and then just hit him, and that'll be easy. And then you talk to Zelda. This is the third phase. So after you talk to Zelda, she's going to do this brilliant idea, I guess, where she shoots your shield with a light arrow, and it hits Ganondorf. So literally, you just back away, target Ganondorf, shield, and then the final hit. And that's it. So that is the Wind Waker HD any percent sail skip. The world record for this run is a 56:57 with this route. This route is about 3 minutes slower, optimally, than the bomb skip route. However, it is much, much more consistent. And this is the first route that the sub 1 had ever been done on. And we think that the fastest possible run for this route is about 53 minutes and 50-ish seconds for the any percent bomb skip run. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it helps you. See you later.